Gulfstream Park. It is March 7th, 2015. Christina Bosnack is joined by Ron Nicoletti, and another lovely warm day here in southern Florida. Chance of showers later on this afternoon.
Never rains here.
It never rains. Well, but we haven't. After last weekend, I'm a little bit gun shy. But no, it's a tremendous day thus far, and we've got a 12-race card. And Ron, let's talk for a second about the Rainbow Six.
It starts in race number 7 today, but there is a $1 million guarantee jackpot pool. So if you have that one unique ticket, you bring down the $1 million pool. It's been a lot of fun the last couple of days. I've been betting it. I bet over $390,000 into it yesterday. So you see it there, $1 million guaranteed. That's races 7 through 12 when we have a 12-race card. So we got the surest guarantees today in the Pick 5, $50,000 every Saturday and Sundays, races 8 to 12. And the $100,000 guarantee in the late Pick 4, that's races 9 to 12, each and every Saturday and Sunday during the month of March. So lots of things. The Rainbow Six, it's going to be the talk of town once that thing gets rolling in a little while.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And we do have, as I said, a 12-race card. And we have 3 stakes today. We have the Fasig-Tipton Swale. We also have the Palm Beach, and we also have the Gulfstream Park Handicap. And all of these races, Ron,
they're
loaded.
Fantastic, and they're not easy to handicap. So when you get into the Rainbow Six sequence, which some of them are, 2 of the 3 are in the Rainbow Six sequence, and you're going to have to figure that out, and that's what makes that bet such a fun bet. So great racing today, beautiful weather, as you mentioned, fast main track. Firm turf course today, 12:30 post. Our final weekend of 12:30 post when we start next week. You put the clock ahead, but we'll be 1 o'clock each and every day, including the weekend. So mark that down.
Well, let's jump into today's first race, and it is a 6 furlongs on the main track, 62.50, claiming event. And my top selection, actually the favorite right now, is number 7, Centella, a horse I used. I had her in second, trained by Bobby DeBona.
Bobby DeBona trains that one in there. I went with the number 2, Princess Belle on Call. It's a logical choice, I thought. Scored shipped down from New York and finished willing second, beating the neck. Again, similar, going 5.5 furlongs. Bobby DeBona, you always got to have him on your ticket. I did not use him in the opener, but that's not to say, that he's got a big shot in here.
Yeah, and he had a winner.
He had a winner
yesterday,
right?
Yeah, he sure did. So that's race 1. We move on to the second race on today's card that kicks off the early Pick 4. It is a 1 mile and 3/16 on a turf course. A maiden special weight for 3-year-olds. And Ron, you know how I love these. These are a lot of fun. And
we have a lot of great maiden races today.
Yeah, we sure do. And I went with number 10, and that's Tap Key from the Todd Fletcher barn. And a couple of useful efforts, just narrowly beaten in both prior career starts. He ran a good number. Look on the Thorograph sheets. He ran a good number in that latest on February 7th. He is by Tappet, and pedigree's there, connections are there, the works are there, and I really think this one's the one to beat.
I'm looking at the board. We have the exact trifecta in here. I went with the number 2, Flash Trading, in second, stretching out close strongly to come within a half length of X in the maiden ranks. That was at 7.5 furlongs. This race today, 1 mile and 3/16. Son of Broken Bow, and Broken Bow should have no problem with the added distance today.
And also, Flash Trading finished second behind a horse named Arakeel last time from the Chad Brown barn. A very nice horse. I think we're going to be hearing more from that one, and I think flatters this one here. And I threw in the other Todd Fletcher horse in third by Medaglia d'Oro, making his first start, Carajillo, and he's making his first start on the dirt and turf, and Medaglia d'Oro, I like that.
Yeah, and it was up in Tampa Bay on the main track, so shipping down going to try to turf here today.
We move on to the third race on the card, and is a 35,000 maiden claiming event, 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. We have a jockey change, right, Ron, on number 9, Angel of Love?
Yeah, Arnie Fontanez back. Hasn't been riding here in a while, so Arnie Fontanez back in at Gulfstream Park. And this race, as you mentioned, 7.5 furlongs. We're in agreement again with the top pick, Rove of Evie, and this one was on everybody's wish list yesterday.
Yeah,
did not run. It was on the also eligible, so we just carried it over today. It looks like the logical choice. Stepping up a notch after recovering from a bit of a bumping incident at the start to finish second is the odds-on choice. That was against $25,000 maidens. I don't see any jump up in competition here. This is speedster. Should have no problem securing a good position from that outside post. So they got the speed to get over.
So for that early pick 4, do we single
No,
Robovivi?
no, because speed, you never know, and you got to get over outside post. I also threw in the number 8 horse Starship Cosmo. Does our best running from off the pace. If someone goes up and challenges the 11 here, might set up for a horse like that. You have on the ticket too, along with the 10 Lying Eyes.
We move on to the 4th race on the card, and it is an allowance optional claiming event. 62,500 claiming tag, a mile and 16th on the turf course. And Ron, there's a jockey change. Number 9 will be ridden by Mario Pino. And I'm guessing maybe a couple of those, the also eligible or the main tracker might come out.
They'll come out. They hadn't come out as of when we come on the stage, but Larry Comas, our track announcer, will update you on all the changes. I think they're just waiting, but those main track onlys will come out before the serious wagering starts, and that'll be the 11 and 12 when it does happen.
Well, I like our selections in here because we've used a couple of the same horses, but our selections, the orders are all mixed up. I did go with number 5. And that is Sycamore Lane. And actually, Sycamore Lane was entered in the Palm Beach last week, the one that came off the in fact, with the cancellation that's going to be run later on in the afternoon. I actually liked him that day. You look back at a couple of his races late last year, including one of those races he finished in front of a horse named Ironicus from the Shug McGahee barn. He came back. He won pretty, I thought, impressively here at Gulfstream this season. And also, in January, Sycamore Lane, I thought that was a pretty good effort. And he came out of the 8-hole. He was just beaten a length and a quarter that day.
Well, if you listen to my analysis each and every day, you know I've been in love with
Tagliabue
for the last couple of weeks. So this one, given some time off after a couple of sharp performances here during December and January, including a really impressive come-from-behind victory at the distance. Kieran McLaughlin, he's 25% winning consecutive races. I used this horse to handicap throughout the month of February. Horses that ran against this horse, I used in my ticket. So I was glad to see him come back today. I got Empire Night in second. I got to go back and look at that 5 horse. I'm thinking I might have missed Sycamore Lane in there. He's 4-1 on the morning line. But what about the number 4 that we both have, and that's Inch Cape. This is a son of Indian Charlie. He was second to a horse called Plouvon, who won again yesterday.
Yeah.
I learned how to say that yesterday from Larry Comas, Plouvon.
And actually, all 3, Plouvon as well as Inch Cape and Sycamore Lane, they all came out of that last race. Pretty good one by Inch Cape. This is the horse I'm really keen on, and I'm keen on looking at in the paddock. Jason Service, he jumps up and very sneaky with these kinds because I can see the money going in a couple of different directions, and that's one of them. And even there's a horse Coastline in there that's a nice type from the Marcassi barn. So that race pretty loaded.
Yeah, that's a great race. I think you got to go a little deep in here. And that is part of the early pick 4 in there, so you have to, use that, see how it, you might think you're going to go a little deep in that race.
We move on to the 5th race on today's card, and it's an allowance, optional claiming event, a claiming tag, 62,500, a mile and 7/16 on the turf. Ron, we're not only in agreement with our top choice, we're in agreement across the board. And we both went with number 2, Biz the Nurse, and this is a 5-year-old son of Oratorio getting first-time Lasix for Mr. Tom Albertrani. Tom Albertrani, we've been talking about this. He hasn't broken through with a victory thus far, but he has a lot of seconds and thirds, and just sometimes a lot of these races it's been circumstances. But I spoke to him yesterday, and he likes this one.
Yeah, I'd like it too, and I picked him a couple of times today. Tom, we're trying to get him off the duck here. This one, a multiple Grade 1 and Grade 2 stakes race performer in my home country, Italy. It's not actually where I'm from, my family's from. This one was 10 for 11 in the money on the turf. Makes his North American debut. You mentioned the connections with Javier Castellano. Lots of things to like about this horse. I found the horse very interesting and put him right on top of my ticket. And, we both have the 5 genre in second, given some time off, following a victory against state-bred runners at Aqueduct with a local score right here at this mile and 7/16 distance. And I like that. Proven commodity going distance. And, of course, it's Chad Brown, Edgar Prado named to ride.
I like John Run. From a numbers perspective, I think he fits in really well. And, again, he's one that seems to be taking a big step up when you consider Biz the Nurse as a Group 1 winner in Italy. So it'll be very interesting. And, again, I think those are both 2 horses that you're going to have to use on your tickets.
Yeah, and along with the 9 Calvados in third. So, this one was only beating a neck in the 12 furlong Laurel Cup. So this horse has proven it could handle a distance of ground. And as we mentioned, it's a mile 7/16.
Well, Ron, let's move on to the 6th race on the card, and it is the Grade 2. It's a Phasig-Tipton Swale. It was supposed to have been run last week. We're going to be run, so they've rerouted it to this week. It's 7 furlongs on the main track, and it is for 3-year-olds. And a couple of scratches, number 2, Super Colossal, number 5, 225A, and also, Ron,
Yes.
Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil. Drew the 1 hole last week. He draws the 1 hole again this week. And if you look back, what I find a very, very nice horse. In fact, a portion of him, Windstar actually, in fact, bought into this horse after the fact with Let's Go Stables. And Let's Go actually spent a lot of money here earlier in the week at the 2-year-old in training sale. They spent over, I think, about $850,000 for a hard spun. So they're spending some of that money back that they're making with these nice horses. And Daredevil last time, and if we go back to the Champagne, that's a Grade 1 in October at Belmont Park. Sloppy track. I was there that day.
Right.
It was a quagmire. And he was so impressive, but also look at the horse that finished behind him, Upstart, who came back.
Yeah. And we were talking to Wes this a little earlier, this video, and we were watching these two horses just so professional crossing the wire, and Daredevil in hand as he goes under the wire there, and a very nice performance. Christina, the reason I wanted to mention about, we said he drew the rail again. A lot of people, it's hard when you break out of the 7 furlong chute to handle that inside post.
Yes.
So, if there's anything you want to find, a great horse like Daredevil that might affect him today, might be the chute coming out of the 7, going 7 furlongs. And guess who I went with? I went with the 4, Ready for Rye, and that is Tom Albatrotti. I really like this horse's race. He's stretching out to 7 furlongs, but he tracked blistering fractions last time out of 22 flat, 44 and 4. He finished second to a repeat stakes winner who I really liked, and that was Barbados. Off the trail right now. That was in the 6 furlong spectacular bid. I mentioned Tom Albatrotti. Luis Saez named on as Javier Castel, of course, is going to stay with Daredevil. But I like this horse today.
You mentioned Ready for Rye. Career debut. He finished second behind a horse named Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem came back and he won a Grade 1 later on in his 2-year-old season, so he's a really nice one. And just referring back to what you were saying about Daredevil, I was talking to Todd Pletcher yesterday about that post position, and he was saying the horse tends to break pretty well. He's good out of the gate, so he's hoping that he at least gets a good break. Well, if
they break well, it's not that big of a problem. It's horses that have been break, they get swallowed up in the chute over there. But if they break well, it should be fine.
There's a lot of speed, and I think it might set it up for a horse like Daredevil, maybe just laying just off the pace. And we will move on to the 7th race on today's card, and the 7th race is a maiden special weight, and this kicks off the Rainbow Six. And there is that guarantee, $1 million.
$1 million, and they've been betting. And when it gets like this, they just keep betting it. I'm predicting way over $400,000. Bet into it today, along with the carryover. So I think it might be over $1 million when the smoke clears. And the beauty of it, as we mention all the time, you can win it with a 20-cent wager. And guys have won hundreds of thousands of dollars with $4 and $7 tickets. So it can be done, and that's the beauty of this Rainbow Six wager.
Well, there is a scratch. Number 4, Party Crasher, and but we still have a pretty full field. And both of us, now, to me, the race is playing up in a certain way. I went with number 9, and that's Seeking Alpha. I see it's a horse that you used, and this colt is trained by Chad Brown, and if you look at their ROI, the return on investment for Chad Brown and Paco Lopez, they're 444. The return on investment, it's over $18. They've been lights out. They've done nothing wrong as a partnership, and I have to say, Chad Brown not here today. He's in Tampa. However, I know he really likes this colt, and I saw this colt about a month or so ago. He's a really nice colt.
And also got another horse in there, the 3 horse in there, Ulysses. I really like the 1 Wisecracker in here, and you want to show them why we like Wisecracker?
Yeah,
we're going to get some pretty nice horses.
Yeah, let's take a look at Wisecracker from the Kieran McLaughlin barn, and this was his career debut, January 24th, and he finishes second, and I thought a pretty productive second, beaten just over 3 lengths behind a horse named, Kozan. Now, Kozan, who was originally looking like he was going to be running in the Florida Derby at the end of the month, he's injured, he's out, he's off the Derby trail, it looks like at the moment. Maybe we'll see him. Sounds like we'll probably see see him back maybe in the summer at Saratoga.
That's a shame.
It is.
I really like that horse.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to move forward and run very well in the Florida Derby here in a couple of weeks down the road. But that's what happens in horse racing. But I really like Wisecracker today. Of course, Seeking Out for all the reasons you mentioned. And the number 5 horse who we both put on the ticket, Unbridled One, going to get Lasix today. Closed to finish third in his 6 furlong career debut. He's a son of Unbridled Song. He's bred to love this distance and beyond. He worked a bullet for this thing at Palm Meadows. And I just think if there is like a suicide duel or something happens up, you got to have this horse somewhere in your ticket. And he's a must-use on your Rainbow 6 here. I love Wisecracker, and I singled him on my ticket, but I don't know if that was the wise thing to do. No.
I don't know about that, Ron, but I think that he obviously has the experience edge in there over my horse that is probably going to win, Seeking Alpha. So we move on to the 8th race on the card, and it is a maiden special weight. And we do have, yes, and as we love saying, if you missed out on the Rainbow 6, well, you got the pick 5 starting in race 8, and it is a maiden special weight, 5.5 furlongs on the main track, and we've got another loaded race. It's just these races so competitive. I went and I love that the fact that you went in another direction. I went with number 11, and that's Centauro Star. This is a son of Indian Charlie, and first time he's a gelding. He's been gelded since that last race, and he was pretty good second. And we'll go back and have a look at that second place effort and. Finishing behind a horse named Over Control, and we'll see him at the start. So he spots the field a couple of lengths right out of the box. And then we move on to the stretch. Ran a pretty good race, but again, he's encountered problem. He's getting him and his rival, they're lying all over each other. Yeah,
they're lying over each other. He closed really well, and like you said, he gave up about 5 or 6, 7 lengths at the start, and that's what he gets beat here by a really nice horse, as you mentioned, Over Control. Have him on my ticket in there, but I'll tell you who I went with. I went with the number 8, who you have on your ticket, and that is Fitzgerald. And who's he trained by? Tom Albertrani.
Tom Albertrani. You're all over. And look who he finished behind. He was third last time behind a horse named Materiality. Materiality came back yesterday.
Was
won
impressive.
Very impressively in an overnight stake. So, again, very flattered by that form.
Yeah, form. Now he's cutting back to this 5.5 furlong distance first start. As you mentioned, he responded to the addition of Lasix in there. He goes up, he sets the pace, he weakens to finish third. I think he's going to move way off that performance. And you mentioned the horse he finished behind Materiality. It was on that sealed sloppy track on January 15th. Rajiv Mirage will be in the saddle. And then we have a horse in here from Todd Pletcher, and I'm a little perplexed. You did not use the number 2 Chip It in here.
I thought the works were okay, and nothing that really jumped off the page. It could be a very big weekend for Alto Racing, who campaigns this one. It's the family of Grade 1 Stakes winner Cuvée. There are plenty of things to like. Sold for $300,000 as a 2-year-old in training. I just decided I was torn between that one and number 9, Funny Questions, and this is a son of Quality Road. And I just saw a couple of nice, sharp works. It's Wesley Ward, and I don't know. Maybe if I leave Todd Pletcher off in this instant, you use Wesley Ward. It's kind of
it's hard to leave either one of them off. So
exactly.
We're going to go a little deeper in this 8th race here, and I'm rooting for Tom Albertrani, but you can't just single him on the ticket. You got to go a little deeper in there.
We have the 9th race on the card, and it is the Grade 3 Palm Beach, a mile and a 16th on the turf course. And our top selection, number 5, and that is Night Prowler. What's interesting to me, Ron, is last week I didn't have him on top in my selections. In fact, when the Palm Beach was originally scheduled for last week, but he is here. He's on board, or he's on top this time. We're going to go back and have a look at his last race. He finished in front of a horse named A Lot, came back and won, and also Cronin the Barbarian. And Ron, talk us through it.
Yeah, this was a really nice performance, Night Prowler. And what I like about this horse, you'll see him coming down. This is just a fantastic ride by Javier Castellano, which not saying much. It's perfectly timed. You're right here, you're saying, I don't think he's going to get there, and he just finds that other gear, and he gets up, he draws off, he wins it by a half length. I just thought that was a great performance by Night Prowler, who was the 9 that day, of course the 5 today. And I just saw the race. I can't count on one hand how many times that we've had the same 3 selections in stakes races today. I think we've already done it twice today. And we have the 6 Cronin, the Barbarian in second. This is a late striding son of Stroll, stretching out today to this mile in the 16th distance. He rallied 6 wide last time out in the Kitten's Joy. I think he's going to sit a perfect trip. I would absolutely not leave this horse off any one of your tickets, because if there is a hot pace, I'm thinking Cronin the Barbarian is going to get it.
And Gary Sims did say that he was expecting the colt to be closer up than he was last time, so that would be perfect, and maybe it can set up for that type of situation for him. We look on it too, and that was the late pick 4, starts in race 9.
100,000 guarantee.
Yeah, and we move on to that 10th race, and the 10th race, grade 2, Gulfstream Park Handicap. It is a mile on the main track. A couple of jockey changes. Number 4 will be ridden by Angel Serpa. Number 5, Private Zone, Carlos Marquez. My top selection, and I think both of our horses run. I think those are the 2. I did go with number 1, and that is Honor Code. And this is a 4-year-old son of AP Indy, Serena's cat, beautiful female family. This horse has got a spectacular pedigree, but we got to look at that last race, because the reason why I picked him today was largely based on that race. Not only that he showed some quality, he already has shown that he can run over this track when he was second here last year, but look from where he closed, how he comes through horses, and he gets up just in time. And that's coming back off a significant layoff.
Yeah, I mean, he just exploded to victory here in the stretch and gets the job done. There you see him splitting horses there. Number 8, Honor Code. You know, this horse, I really like this horse today. He's beaten the neck at the distance in the grade 1 Champagne at 2. Then comes back and wins the 9 furlong Remsen at age 3. Comes back, runs that fantastic...
And beats Cairo Prince.
Beats Cairo Prince, runs that fantastic race. But Private Zone, tell you why I have this horse on top of the ticket. He's a multiple grade 1 winner. He's got 2 grade 1 wins. That's more than anybody else in the field. 2 more than anybody else in the field. Now in the George Navarro bond. But what I liked about this horse, it's a 1-turn mile here at Gulfstream Park, and he just looks like the controlling speed. And by this time of the afternoon, or by the time you start your Rainbow 6 ticket, you'll see how the track has been playing. If it is tilted towards horses that like to be on or near the pace, this horse has got to be on top of your ticket or near the top of your ticket, because I would not leave Honor Code off. I went 3 deep in here, also using Wicked Strong. I mean, I thought these 3 horses, any one of them could win.
Well, my concern is Private Zone's going to have company up front, and it looks like Valid, he's got some speed as well. He might go with him early. So that my concern. Wicked Strong won the Jim Dandy last year, and he was second by a nose in the Travers.
To his stablemate.
To his stablemate. So forgettable race in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he's been off since, and he looked magnificent here the other day. Steady works coming into this. We move on to the 11th race on today's card, and it is an allowance optional claiming event, $25,000 claiming tag, 6 furlongs on the main track. My selection, your selection, is number 11, Grivon, trained by Mr. George Navarro.
Yeah, cutting back to 3/4 of a mile after returning from the layoff to really crush a field of $35,000 2 lifetime claimants, going 7/8 of a mile. George Navarro, he's 3 for 5, 60% with second start over longer than 180-day layoff. I used the 3 in second because Catalactic going from the turf to the dirt. Marcus Natali is 27% going from turf to the dirt, and the 5, Talons of Tuscany. I like the name of that, Talons of Tuscany.
That's scary. Let's look on to the, just a few minutes here left, on the 12th race on the card. It's a maiden special weight, is 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. Super high 5 wagering as always. Final race on the card. I went with number 6. We both went with number 6, and that is Force the Pass. This is a 3-year-old colt by Speightstown, and he finished second behind a horse named Saham. And Saham, a really nice horse. Churchill Downs, he was second in his career debut. He was just a hard luck horse that finally got through, and he won, and I think he's going to be a nice little stakes horse going down the road. Alan Goldberg, he's been doing so little wrong, running just a handful of horses for Rich Santulli, and this is the horse to beat.
Yeah, I think it's a horse to beat, and he's 2-1 on the morning line in a 12-horse field, so you can see that the line maker thought he had a big chance in, and so did we. Number 12, Do Jack, is a gelded son of Bernardini, debuting for trainer Chad Brown, who is 24% with his first-time starters. Javier Castellano Toronto, outside post today. Just those connections alone, you're going to have this horse somewhere in your ticket, even though Christina didn't.
Graham Motion, I used number 11, and that's Infinite Sky. Sky Mesa is good with his first-time starters, and just a very even, just a steady work tab. And in fact, Graham Motion, he's pretty good with his first-time starters.
He does very well with his first-time starters. You want a long shot in the last race, go with the 10, Boca Scuttlebutt. Eligible to show more, had a rough trip last time out, bobbled at the start, checked at the quarter pole and finished 8th. He can spring the upset in there.
Yeah, it looks like it. Boca Scuttlebutt, I agree, because he might be the lone speed in there, and that might set it up for him. So for Ron, today, the only thing, a couple of big things. We've got 3 stakes. We've got the Fasig-Tipton Swale Stakes, which is going to be really exciting. We're going to see Daredevil. He's going to come back and hopefully very, very nice event, but also Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six, $1 million. That's 1000000 jackpot. So it's going to be a lot of fun. They bet it like crazy yesterday. They're going to bet it even more today. And the beauty of it, like we tell you all the time, 20 cents. You can take it down with a $3 or $4 ticket if you happen to get lucky. Especially if you use Christina's selections, you got a big shot today.
Well, that's it for Ron Nicoletti and myself. We will be back later on this afternoon, folks. You got to come back. You got to stick around. We've got a great card on tap.